News broke just minutes ago.
They loved his energy, they loved his outlook, they loved his perspective. People loved everything about what he would bring to this particular job. They sat down, and from the time they sat down with him, they were enamored with the energy, the spunk, the intelligence that he would bring to that job.
What kept coming back time and time again was how great of a candidate that Coach Sala was. And so when we talk about our criteria and what we were looking for in a coach, he checked all those boxes. The integrity, the passion, the ability to do that.
As we're sitting here now, we have a lot of opportunity in front of us. 21 picks in the next 2 drafts, including 10 in the first 3 rounds. But with that opportunity, we have to make the most.
The New York Jets select Darrell Revis, quarterback.
Quinnen Williams, nose tackle, Alabama.
The New York Jets select Mekhi Becton, tackle, Louisville.
Marcus May, defensive back, Florida.
Right, so guys, what we're going to do, we've decided that following free agency, we want to go through pretty much where the Jets are. So we've came up with our little depth chart. Everybody in gold is who we've kind of, as a group, decided are day one starters. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to spend a little bit of time. We're going to go through offense, then we're going to go through defense, talking about who's came in and where we're at. And then on our next video, we're going to collectively try and agree on a draft. So we've got the admin team here. So we've got Otis, Kane, and Fraser, and myself. So Otis is going to start us off with a little bit of intro into some of the players.
So one of the big free agent acquisitions, arguably the biggest, I think, given our need for one and for so long, was the addition of Corey Davis. The wide receivers deal with the Jets will be for 3 years, 37.5 million, reported by ESPN. It means that finally we have a starting caliber wide receiver for the next quarterback. Davis is in the Mims mold, giving them 2 6'3" wide receivers on the outside. That should help with contested balls. The issue with Davis is, well, he has underachieved so far. Drafted 5th overall in 2017. He has yet to reach 1,000 yards in a season. He was supposed to be the Titans' #1 wide receiver, but split that role with A.J. Brown. Davis picked up last year after the Titans declined his 5th-year option, catching 64 balls for 984 yards and 5 touchdowns. He has an impressive 71% catch rate. So essentially, this should be the start of a career turnaround, hopefully.
Amazing. And some good numbers there, really, when you think about it. I mean, I've seen the Titans live a few times while Davis has been there. It's just really unfortunate because the Titans are the Derrick Henry show. So, unfortunately, if your name's not Derrick or Henry, you don't really get a look in. So, I'm quite excited to see what he can bring. I love the fact that he's pretty solid catching. Because let's face it, we ain't the best at holding on to balls at the minute. So, seeing that number, I'm quite comfortable, quite happy with that one.
Especially because he's rapid as well. Him and Mims on the outside. Both good.
Yeah, that's 2 tall morphos that can really battle.
The bit that I think strikes me when you watch Davis for the Titans, and especially if you watch them with the Henry success as well, one of the reasons that Henry gets outside so often and breaks off huge long runs is because he gets behind Davis. Yeah. Davis is going to be exceptional for the zone run scheme that Salah and the offense are going to want to run. They want to run outside, they want to run zone, and a blocking wide receiver is massive, and that will be something he excels at.
So what else have we brought in on offense?
So the next person I looked at was a guy that's potentially, I think, going to be a rotation player with previous starting experience and is going to bring some leadership to a young room, and that was Tevin Coleman. We agreed a 1-year contract worth up to $2 million for Coleman. I think it's a sensible decision. It proves Salah is capable of landing his old players, which I think is something that's nice to see. The signing was pretty predictable when the market, I don't think, developed particularly well for him in San Fran. I think it was quite a predictable signing. The Jets need that experience to join P. Ryan and T. Johnson. I think that'll really, really help them with some leadership. However, I have noted that this doesn't eliminate the need to necessarily draft a running back, because I don't think at this moment in time we have a guaranteed day one starter. There's guys that can do it in rotation, but not guaranteed starter on the roster.
Yep.
So what about you on that phrase? Because obviously both me and you were pretty big on running backs last year. We were screaming how good our running back room was, and then we got Frank Gore. So, yeah, we both got hit hard.
Yeah. Last year I wanted obviously a big running back, but with the way things have changed this year and the new scheme and the type of scheme that we'll be running, I'm not actually mad with the 4 we've got there. I wouldn't actually even be disappointed if we didn't get someone in the draft. I think there's a lot of potential there in the 4 players. I think Adams is probably very underrated on that list there. I think he could possibly shoot up to be ahead of Pirine if he shows what he showed last year. But I think the dark horse there is definitely Johnson. I think if anybody's going to stand out and be the starter in that team, I could see it being him. Don't get me wrong, if the 3rd and 4th round comes and someone like Gainwell, maybe even Sermon, Hill, who you could probably get in the 5th round, you know, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if they take one of them. But yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm quite happy with the 4 we've got there, to be honest, with how the offense was last year. I mean, everything was Frank Gore. He was running, and he couldn't do it. So I'm quite happy with that rotational options we've got, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, as long as we don't go from Frank the Tank to Tev the Tank.
I don't think we will. I think Tev will be in there. The price that we've got him for is a bargain when you compare what we're paying him to his potential ability that he can bring out, and then it's all about the experience he's going to bring to the young lads, and he knows the scheme well. So yeah, I think it's a good acquisition there we've put in to join the 3 lads.
Yeah, and I think as you touched on there, it's the leadership side of it. I think the fact that it's going to be solid leadership and a player to lead those young players, I think is a big thing.
Yeah, I think we can't understate that. So you can see a few other new names on there for some new Jets fans. What have we got?
So the next guy that I've highlighted was a player that I think possibly went under the radar when he signed. I think there's limited knowledge on him, and someone that I think has the opportunity to really surprise for Jets fans, and that's Keelum Cole. The Jets agreed terms with the former Jacksonville Jaguar. He signed a 1-year, $5.5 million contract, so a sensible price. He's no Juju Smith-Schuster. Let's get that sort of out of the way straight away. We were engaged in talks with him, and it obviously broke down. However, the one thing that I think Cole does offer is versatility. He was a borderline starter who projects probably as our 4th wide receiver. He'll be behind Davis and Mims, no doubt, and I think he'll likely start the season behind Jameson Crowder. For a change, though, they actually now have depth at wide receiver, and Cole also offers kick return abilities. He had a 91-yard TD last season, so that's a nice added bonus, as our kick return hasn't been fantastic. This isn't a wow signing, but I believe he will be productive. He posted career numbers last year in one of the worst offenses in the league. He had 55 catches for 642 yards and 5 touchdowns. He played primarily in the slot, but has also played extensively on the outside. So he's not, it shouldn't hurt Crowder. It gives us the ability to rotate Mims and Davis, maybe if they need a rest. It also gives us an option of a big guy in the slot as the number 4. If you want to have the speedy Crowder going underneath, you've got a bigger, wider bodied guy to play in this 4th slot.
Nice. What are your thoughts on slot, Kane?
I like it. Look, we've got 3 good people there, to be honest, and you can put them anywhere, and I think they'll catch the ball. Got Berrios as well, or Berrios, Cole, and Crowder. That's three really good slot people, to be fair.
Yeah, I love the fact that now we've got a good 3 or 4 return men.
Yeah.
Like I would put them all in and just let them cause havoc.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Cole, Fraser?
It's an interesting one with Cole. I think even though it's only a 1-year deal, I think it's more they're looking at the future after Crowder. I mean, I know Crowder's on, 10 or 12 million this year. I think it's his last year.
10 million.
And to be honest, throughout before free agency, I was actually thinking I wouldn't have been shocked if it had been traded or cut to save that money, because this class as well in the draft is absolutely stacked with slot receivers. Absolutely stacked. I mean, you're looking at players like Amari Rodgers, who may be a 4th, 5th round pick that some people are saying. So I think getting Cole in for 5 million-ish for the year to help out Berrios in a backup role there behind Crowder is something I think they're planning for beyond this coming season. In all honesty, I could see if Cole does well, if say Crowder gets injured and Cole comes in and does very well, I could see an extension there quite early if he fits perfect. So it's another interesting one that I think's got a lot more look to it than what people maybe think.
Good potential.
Yeah, I think that's very fair to say.
Yeah.
The next guy I've got on the list is going to be contentious. And is on the depth chart in 2 places. Neither place is a starter, but could potentially be a starter, I think, depending on how the chips falls. So the guy is Dan Feeney, a guard signed from the Los Angeles Chargers, a 1-year, £3.5 million deal. Feeney is expected to replace Eifline, I think, which is to say that he projects to be the top backup stroke rotational player, hence why I've got him in a couple of spots. The Jets tried to re-sign Offline, but he went to the Carolina Panthers for the same money as we paid Feeney. Feeney is only 26th. He offers very, very good depth because he has a ton of experience. He's got 16 starts at centre, he's got 16 starts at centre and 41 at left guard. The analytics folks haven't been kind to him. In 2020, he ranked 35 out of 35 centres in pass block win rate. And in 2019, he ranked 50th out of 69 guards. So I think this is going to be a shock if he starts day one. But I think as far as depth signing goes and getting a player that can really help the football team, he's up there as a good signing.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I'm never going to be against getting depth, especially not on an O-line. I don't think we're as far away as a lot of people think, looking at the new coaching, because when you look at it, if you look on paper at what they had last year in San Fran, when they went down, they lost pretty much their whole defense at Meadowlands. And they were still putting on fair numbers with rotational guys in the spot on lines. So if they can do that again with what we've got, I mean, I don't think he's a bad signing at all. So if they get him performing to 60% of his total ability, it's still going to be an improvement.
It's quite a fast player as well, and I think that'll make a difference with the new scheme. For an O-lineman.
He's fast for an O-lineman.
Yeah.
He does fit well with the new zone scheme. That does suit more to what he did. And if you look at his production, his first 2 years in a Chargers uniform, you sort of think, oh, okay, perhaps we've got a steal at starting guard. But it's one of those players that's going to come down to coaching, come down to how he fits in the scheme a little bit. And I think it's going to be one of those players that I'm going to be really excited to see what Salah can do with him. Everyone talks about him being a player's coach. Well, let's see if you can take a guy that's been a little bit on the decline. We know he's got talent. He was a 3rd round pick. It's obvious he's got talent. Let's see if you can revitalise him.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.